Well, the arresting officers or the acting prosecutor will hand out a paper to the suspect with their rights. And one of the rights is to consult a lawyer before the interrogation and also have the lawyer present during the interrogation. So actually immediately.
Immediately?
Yes. But sometimes they say, well, you know, it's a small case. Why would you do it? Let me just go on. They have this form.
Yeah.
It's a waiver. And then some officers will try to make the suspect sign away the rights to have a lawyer present or have a lawyer consult them before the interrogation.
Well, is that legal?
Yes, it is legal. I mean, if the suspect signs for it, then I mean, as lawyers, we have told the judges before. Well, it's common knowledge that most people arrested by the police are not rocket scientists. Some can't read properly, and they don't exactly know what they're signing for, and they might be ashamed to admit to that.
Yeah.
So they do sign, and then they don't see a lawyer, and then maybe they make a confession. That's possible. But then the judge said, well, if the form is in their own language, we suppose that they can read it, that they understand it, and if they sign for it and they're adult people, then it's their choice, and then we think it's legal. So you can't complain about it.
So, but then they have these forms in probably different languages then?
Yeah, no, but I must say, if people from Dominican Republic gets arrested, then he will get a form in the Spanish language.
Oh, okay.
And a Haitian person would get a form in the French language. They don't have forms in patois, but French at least, and while English-speaking people get it in English, of course.
You know, it's quite interesting because someone was telling me if you get arrested, you're actually detained up until 6 hours or something like that. After that, is that true?
Well, the first 6 hours are used for interrogation. And then after the 6 hours, the police needs to make a decision. The acting prosecutor, and then, well, in communication with the prosecutor, whether they want to detain you for another 2 days for further interrogation, for further investigation.
Okay. So now when it comes to the person that's arrested,
yes,
the first 6 hours, they don't really have to contact you as a lawyer?
No, immediately. Yes.
Yeah?
It's mandatory.
Okay.
Yes.
So that 6 hours doesn't give the police any leeway?
No, it used to be like that, but back in 2009 we had this famous European court case. It was called Saldus.
Yeah.
And based on the Saldus ruling from the European court, it's mandatory now for the police and the prosecutor to make sure that once a suspect wants to see a lawyer, and that's at the very moment that he arrives at the police station, then they have to make the call and make sure the lawyer is on his or her way.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier about assistant prosecutor. That's a high-ranking police officer.
The acting prosecutor, yes. That's mostly an inspector or a head inspector, and he's overseeing the due process that suspects get their lawyer, that they know what they've been accused of, that they know their rights, they're responsible for that.
Another thing, you know, people here watch TV and they hear about the Miranda rights and so forth, how that applies here. Yeah,
like the lawyer steps in the room as this interview is over. No, it basically, we're talking here about Miranda rights. It's the same principle, yes.
So you don't have to say anything to the police?
Never, no.
Yeah.
No. You have the right to remain silent.
This is quite interesting. What about you're driving down the road?
Yes.
And the police pull you over?
Yes.
Do you have a right to answer him? You could say, I don't have to answer you?
You don't have to answer, never. No. Okay. I mean, they can instruct you to things, and you would have to cooperate. You have to show your driving license. But well, in the most ultimate scenario, I would say you just don't do anything, and then they will search for it. And if you're trying to obstruct that, well, then they can arrest you for that.
So
they cannot force you to speak. Let me put it like that.
But what if they ask you to get out of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Do they have a right to ask you to get out of the vehicle?
Yes, they do.
And so you have to comply?
You have to comply.
And such a warrant isn't necessary on a vehicle on the public roads?
That depends on the circumstances. They cannot just search your car like that. They cannot just randomly do that. They have to have a reasonable suspicion against you. They cannot just randomly go and search your car. But if they claim they smell marijuana or something, yes, then they have the right to search your car.
Oh, so they have to at least have some proper cause.
Yeah, correct.
Do you get cases in your practice where people find that they were stopped on the road and the procedures of the police wasn't properly done?
Yeah, it happens quite often.
What good cause does a person have in that case?
It's difficult because the police could give a different version of events. Mm-hmm. And if a police writes something, it's almost equal to the Holy Bible. Like normally, to get convicted, you need 2 pieces of proof.
Okay.
But if the police writes down something, that's enough for a conviction. If the judge puts belief to what the police wrote down. And normally a judge would do that, because otherwise you would be undermining the system.
What if I have a recording that shows contrary to what is written down?
Then that would be stronger, of course, than the words of the police, because the recording, and then, I mean, if it's not tampered with, then it's like almost like scientific evidence. And that would put the police really in jeopardy, of course.
And does it matter if the police is aware or unaware of that recording?
No. If you outsmart the police, you deserve a golden medal.